What's going on? Welcome back to Dealing with the Devils. It's Jack and JD, and what a comeback for the Blue Devils, beating Miami in Coral Gables 83-75, down by as much as 13 in this one. JD, the Blue Devils have struggled in Miami, 1-3 in their last 4 games at Miami. What was the key tonight?
There's no question it was the three-point shooting of Gary Trent that made the difference. But conceivably, up until that 8-minute mark when Duke was down by 13 points, I think we were looking at maybe the worst Duke performance I can remember.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as you. It was funny when you texted that to me. I was thinking, is it that really that bad? But the amount of turnovers up until that point, they actually had 19 turnovers in the game, and they didn't turn it over again. So that to me made a huge difference down the stretch. And to that point, I will say that this was the worst they've looked in terms of ball security. Miami, Capel said in the first half that Miami had scored 30 of their 40 points off of transition and second chance opportunities, which is just absurd. And they actually were defending well in the half court, and you saw when Duke was able to limit them to half court opportunities late in the second half, Miami really couldn't score.
Well, and one of the things, let me talk about Trey Duval for a minute. There are at least 2 different Trey Duvals, and we saw them both tonight. There is the Trey Duval that simply is not the point guard that everyone talked about. He's disorganized on the court. His turnovers weren't even close. And then there's the Trey Duval after that 8-minute mark where he can bury a clutch 3, where he is in position to steal the ball. And it's like his focus is not there for 40 minutes. But Jack, you've called it before. What was the key to the game? The jacket came off.
Right. Yeah. Anytime the jacket comes off, Coach K means business, and it's one of the games where he's going to really, there's sometimes, as you and I like to talk about, JD, where there's certain games where Coach K kind of sits there and he's willing to let the course of the game kind of go, or at least that's how it appears. But then there are other games like tonight where he rips off the jacket and he's furious and he's ripping into the guys. And when you turn the ball over as much as they did, and look as sloppy as they did, especially in the first half and the first 12 minutes or so of the second half, 32 minutes of the game, there's a reason for it, and it definitely motivated the guys. But yeah, Gary Trent Jr. was the story of the second half, but Wendell Carter, I think every game, no matter what happens, he's overshadowed. So I just want to give him a little bit of his due because he had I believe a double-double in the first half. I know he had at least 11 rebounds.
He did have a double-double.
Yeah, and was a monster in terms of protecting the paint because Huell just seemed to have his way at times, but there were a couple of possessions, especially late, the one where he just stood his ground and got that block when he was just straight vertical, where Wendell Carter showed that he can be a force in the physical presence down low. But more importantly, I thought that last play, the most important play where Gary Trent hit the 3 to put him up by 6, was a great play design by Duke, and something that we've been talking about recently in terms of how they've been orchestrating their offense. Well, in that play, you had Gary Trent Jr. set the screen for Wendell Carter, who rolled around and opened up for a post-up opportunity while Trayvon Duval was dribbling at the wing. And he didn't pass it down to him, but the whole play was designed for Gary Trent Jr. to cut straight up to the top of the key there where Bagley was setting a screen on his man, and that's how he was able to get so open for that 3. It was a great play designed by Coach K and the Blue Devil staff.
Look, I think I will be very, very happy with this win because for 32 minutes, I thought this was going to be one of the worst Duke performances that I've seen. But there's still a couple of things here that are troubling, and that was the amount of turnovers. if you look at the free throws for the game, they were 10 for 21.
11.
So
I got him at 11.
Uncharacteristic of a Duke team from the free throw line. And if that happens in tournament time, I'm telling you, it's going to come back to haunt us not hitting the free throws. At one point, the two bigs went 0 for 6, and that just can't happen.
Right. Yeah. Bagley had missed 0 for 4 by himself, and then, as you said, Carter had his own 0 for 2. But yeah, that is a big concern for the Blue Devils, as well as, Bagley really struggled in the first half there, which was the first time really seen him struggle to get anything going offensively. But the other issue, we talked about turnovers. JD loves to talk about his free throws. But the other issue that has been concerning is Grayson Allen, because they're going to need him. They're going to need him at some point, and he's been missing for several games. He might just be the streakiest player in basketball. But he still found ways to contribute tonight. He had 5 steals, 3 assists, 4 rebounds. But he's going to need to knock down shots because, back-to-back games where now he's scored a combined 7 points is just not going to cut it for the Blue Devils against the elite competition.
I couldn't agree more. And the question is, where is Grayson? And yet, those 5 steals were, in and of themselves, pretty impressive. You saw him get in. They helped to generate offense. They were very good, and he was diving on the floor to get it and remaining in control. So I think we're going to just have to hold our breath and let this streak play out where Grayson just isn't scoring, but he's too good of a scorer. This is going to change. It's going to turn around. It's just a question of when. Right,
and lastly, the group we always like to talk about but rarely get to, the bench. 3 points tonight, really didn't play. I don't know if they played at all in the second half. But, they had some nice minutes in the first half. And to be frank, I think that's really what Coach K needs to use them. He can't just not use them at all. But if he gives them minutes in the first half, it just keeps the starters a little more fresh, a little bit, have a little less foul trouble, and therefore able to play with more energy down the stretch. And I think you saw that in tonight's game.
I mean, let's face it, Jack. I mean, any fan that turns on and happens to pick up the score and sees Duke 83, Miami 75, says, well, Duke had control of that game. But this is really a game where you really, need to have watched 40 minutes of play to understand the strengths and weaknesses of this Duke team. So I'm going to still go with the single most important thing was not Gary Trent's 30 points, but Coach K taking off that coat.
Well, all right. I'll let you keep on that thought, but to me, it's definitely Gary Trent. The Blue Devils will play Pittsburgh on Saturday in Cameron. I anticipate the Blue Devils having a similar showing to the one they had at Pittsburgh, but they're going to need to show up. It's the ACC, and every team presents a challenge. Now, JD, any closing thoughts?
I think that hopefully the bench is going to get some time against Pitt, which is important, as you pointed out earlier. You want to know that they're part of this team, and actually, there was a moment there in the first half, I think, where we had 4 of the bench players on the court at the same time. And I don't think they were to blame for how horrendous the team was playing, but there's no question he's got to integrate them. He cannot rely on all 5 of them carrying for the entire tournament.
All right, well, that's it for dealing with the Devils. I'm Jack. That was JD. See you next time.